Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our interview and thank you for joining us. My name is Tali from WSI Digital Path. We are a full-service digital marketing agency. We help businesses leverage power of internet, build their brand online, and the bottom line, be competitive and generate more interest, sales, and leads from their online channels. I have a pleasure to having with me today Todd Grierson. He is the president of Grierson Consulting. We chatted with Todd, and I really was impressed by some of his achievements. For example, like growing his previous company, Elmira Poultry, from 29 million in revenue to 50 million in 5 years. And we chatted about some business objectives, goals, and then we got with this idea about hosting this event, speaking about the importance of having unique value proposition about the business, right? So every business is supposed to have unique value proposition. Todd, the floor is yours. Maybe give us some introduction about your business. What do you do? What kind of clientele you work with?
Great. Well, thanks for having me, Tali. Love doing these things. So my name's Todd Grierson. My business is Grierson Consulting, and I'm a business development consultant. So I help companies identify opportunities for growth, if they want to expand their sales, if they're struggling to be competitive, or they're looking at their company and they know they want to do more, but they're not sure how to do it or where to look. So that's where I come in, kind of like a fractional CEO, and I help them look at their company from the outside and identify those areas where they can improve. Then I work with them to create those action plans, and then I work with them to execute the plan to ensure their success. So that's basically what I do with companies. As far as my clients are all over North America. They'll range from SEO companies, construction, real estate, marketing, wealth management, SR&ED companies, working with 2 cannabis companies, and also, yeah, that's basically my clients. They're very diverse. There isn't really one special market that I focus on because it doesn't matter what your business does. There are certain things that you need to do or every business needs to do in order to be successful and grow and just take a company to the next level. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And about locations, do you work with clients in Canada, in Ontario, or you work internationally? Do you have clients all over?
Right now, my clients are basically in the Ontario area. I do have a client that I'm working with in Florida, and I just finished working with a client in Seattle, Washington. So I do have some clients in the US, but majority of my clients are in Canada.
Yeah. So let's dive to one of my favorite actually topics and questions. Why, in your opinion, do you think it's important to clearly state your business value proposition? What is the most important? Why?
The most important thing is if you don't have a strong value proposition, you're not giving your customers or potential customers a reason to contact you first. They should be able to look at what your value proposition is and understand it, and it should stand out why your company or you are different from everybody else in your industry. You want to give them a reason to call you first.
Right. You know what? Just a side note here, many times, and I'm sure you experienced the same. I'm going on a website, visiting business website, and I'm trying, for 15, 20 minutes to look and understand what this is business about actually. What do they do? Are they this, or they construction, or they actually just project management, or they doing both, or they commercial, residential? So that's just example, but many actually fail. They try to be, in my opinion, creative, and it's just complicates things, right? It's difficult to understand what they do.
Yeah, and a lot of people, and I'll maybe talk about this later in some of the other questions you might have, but people don't like to brag. They end up creating a website or creating messaging that sounds just like everybody else. But where they're missing is taking the time to identify what makes them different. Why are they unique? What is their superpower, I call it. But even when they know what it is, they don't like to talk about it because Canadians typically, we're too polite. We don't want to brag. We don't want to make it sound like we're cocky. And so they hold that down and they don't talk about it. So, clients are looking at them and go, okay, so you're just like anybody else. There's nothing that really makes them unique or that one little moment. So yeah, it's unfortunate that they just we don't realize as business owners that we need to really be aggressive. We need to be confident, and we need to brag about why we think we're better than somebody else. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. So, based on your experience working with clients from your previous companies, so how many businesses are actually missing to state that they are different or unique, clear value proposition? So, if you look at percentage or whatever numbers you would like to bring.
I would say out of all the clients I've worked with or could have worked with, probably 80% or more don't have a strong value proposition, which is kind of shocking. But yeah, I'd say at least 80%, they don't. They blend in and they look like everybody else. And they're wondering, like they're talking to me because we want to grow our business. We want to expand it into a new market. We're losing quotes, we're losing business, and we don't know why. And when I sit back and I look at, okay, so how do you communicate with customers? How do you differentiate from the competition? What are you doing when you're speaking about the message, about the service or product that you can provide? And it comes down and it sounds like everybody else. So they get lost in there and they don't stand out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true. And so, speaking about those times of COVID and what's happening with so many businesses, unfortunately, have you noticed or did you feel effect of COVID on the business of your clients, on your business? Positive. Some business actually felt positive effect, some negative. So, what's your experience and observations?
Well, for me, it affected my business at the start because the best way for me to evaluate a business is actually physically being on site, meeting the team, seeing the dynamics, what happens in the office place, and just how the communication flows. So that it affected me initially. And then over time, you adapt. Everybody moves to Zoom, and you find a way to try and still learn what you could without being in an office. My clients, I would say probably half of them have felt an impact with COVID because they needed to start adding a different service, or they needed to shift in a different way to still try to operate or gain market share within COVID. So for me, it's been helpful for me because people are looking for assistance. They're looking for new ways to adapt or pivot into a new market, or how do I expand that product or service for my customers to offer them more that's going to give them a reason to want to contact us. So in the long run, it's probably been more positive on my business. And I think on a positive way too for other companies, it's pushed them to do things that they never would have done before. And I think a lot of companies are going to come out of this stronger than they were because, we're operating on Zoom. We don't have to go and spend time driving, et cetera, to meet people. We can do that. That saves time. So that's just one example of how we're all pivoting to do something different. So one of my clients, I'm part of an app, and we did a study. No, actually, I was part of a seminar where they did a study in the grocery industry where they said, how many people have had that wouldn't have shopped online before, like probably 65 and up, where they go to the bank, they get the cash, and everything's done face to face. COVID forced them to shop online, to get their groceries online. And what's just interesting was the study showed that of the 100% of people that had to shop online because of COVID, they felt that 70% of those people will continue to shop online even after COVID because they've realized, oh, it's really easy to shop online. I can get things, go online, get it delivered, pick it up, curbside pickup, whatever. It's forced them to realize how technology can actually help them. And it's done that in a positive way, I think, to consumers and businesses, because look what everybody's doing online, curbside pickup. We'll go back after COVID and businesses will still have, in-person shopping, but I think there's going to be a significant part of the population that will still use curbside because it's convenient. Why do I have to go online? I can pre-order everything, go and pick it up, and I just saved how much time in my life. So I think it's going to have a positive impact on a lot of businesses.
Yeah, for sure. I agree 100%. First of all, like many businesses had to pivot quickly, right? So it's maybe some projects that companies were, postponed, and never had a chance or time to work on. Now
Right.
it's great opportunity to start and implement those. And about e-com and online, it's just it's setting expectations. So obviously, after even whenever we're going to normal, whatever normal will be, it
Right.
won't go back for sure. There could be a hybrid, events, hybrid shopping, but you can take back whatever, it's convenience. So for sure.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. So what is a possible negative effect, in your opinion, for a business who doesn't have a strong value proposition? So what negative could happen?
Well, the negative that will be happening is they're not growing as quickly as they want to. They're probably not getting noticed, which means they're not getting called, or they're not getting the opportunity to quote on new business that they would, because they're blending in and they look the same as everybody else. I think they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle to reach whatever their vision is or whatever their growth targets are, because they're just like everybody else. And then when they're speaking with people, they don't sound different. They don't sound unique. So I think they're going to struggle to hit their growth targets.
Right. So potentially, basically losing business and revenue, right?
Yep. Because if you think about every other business that's out there, those people that have recognized that, we have a strong value proposition, they understand why they're different, and they talk about it all the time, those are the companies that are going to be leading. So what's going to be happening is you're going to fall back and you're going to be following. And for the longest time, you're going to actually have to try and keep up. So once you actually catch up to that company, then you have to do even more work to try and get ahead of them, to then start leading the industry, because you always want to be the leader in the industry. You want people to be looking at you for what the next trends are, because if you're not leading, you're following. And if you're not following, or if you're not leading, that means you're second.
Yeah, it's very true. So what would be your suggestions for businesses who don't have the value proposition yet? Where should they start? How to come up even with a statement? Because sometimes, businesses say, oh, we have great customer service. This is really not a value proposition, right? So everyone says they have great customer service. So where to start? How come up with a statement? What would be your recommendations?
The first thing you need to do is do a competitive analysis. So take your top 3 competitors and compare your company to theirs. Websites, services, products, pricing. Just look at every aspect of what they do and compare it to you, because what you want to do is identify the gap. Where are we falling short? How is our pricing? How is our products? How's our service? how we're communicating to our customers? So do a full competitor analysis of at least 3 competitors. Then what you'll be able to do is identify the gap. Okay, so that means some of our competition is here and we're here. Then that allows you to go, okay, so at least you identified the gap, and now you know at least what you need to do in the interim. Like, how hard do we have to work? What do we need to change in order to catch up with them? So part of the competitive analysis is also then taking a really close look at your business. So you need to stop. You need to step out of your business, because most business owners, they're so busy in the day-to-day activity that they don't have time typically to step back. So that's where somebody like me comes in, and I pull them out and I say, okay, let's look at everything that's going on in your business. Let's look at it from an outside point of view to see what we can identify as far as growth opportunities, development opportunities, and just to improve your business. So once you know what your competitors are doing and you have a clear understanding of who you are, then you've identified the gaps, and you can create action plans then to say, so that means that if we're here and we want to take our business here, let's identify the specific actions that you need to do on a monthly, weekly, yearly basis in order to slowly gain back that market share. Then you turn those actions into key performance indicators and roll through it that way. But give yourself that, identify those specific actions that you need to grow it. So in doing that whole process, and I know I've talked more about strategic planning, but part of it is then, as you've recognized who you are and what you do, areas are going to stand out to say, oh, well, we do that better. Well, they're not doing that and we are. And this is really important. It's okay to brag. It's okay to say, I'm the best in the industry at this, and this is the reason why. So list out a piece of paper and just start to identify why you think you're different. Use that. And actually, it was ironic when we scheduled this, Tali, it made me think about my value proposition. So I actually went back to every client I've had and I asked them, I said, if I wanted to ask you what the value I added to your business was, what would you say? So I now have 2 pages of comments that I'm taking then, and I'm going to refine and filter it down to make sure that it matches my value proposition, or maybe even redefine it. So reach out to your customers and ask them, hey, why did you deal with me? What value did you get from me? That's probably going to be your biggest resource, because they're your client and they're going to tell you exactly the good and sometimes the bad news. But typically, I'll imagine you're going to get some pretty interesting things or words that you never would have thought about describing yourself as. So I enjoyed that exercise, because I got some really interesting words, interesting ways that describe how I helped. So look at yourself, ask your clients, and just continue to refine it, because you're going to have a ton of information, and you just need to take the time to put it on a big whiteboard and then just scale it down. What are the similarities? And 5 words can become 1, and just you'll whittle it down, and all of a sudden you'll end up at the end of it with this 1 or 2 sentences that really describes who you are and what makes you the best.
Yeah, great tips. And I love competitor analysis and taking 3 competitors, not to go, overboard, as well as speaking to your clients. That's a great tip. I agree. Even if not everything would be positive, it will give you some thoughts and ideas how your customers or potential customers see you and your services, right? So it's also opportunity to improve, correct? So that's really valuable. So I guess now from 2 pages of comments, you have to combine it and to come up with 1 sentence from 2 pages, right?
Yes, and the other thing, which is a good thing from your angle for what you do, I look at all that, it's all content. So I have blurbs, I have sentences, and some clients gave me paragraphs of why I was good at helping them, why I think I'm the best. So to your point, Tali, I should be able to take that content or take that information and turn it into content on social. Why can't I post on LinkedIn? Why can't I post on Instagram? How can I take that then and brag about, well, look at what my clients say about me. There's probably a month's worth of content in there that I could have and use on social. So there's a lot that can come out of it. It was really cool to go through, actually.
Right. And by the way, testimonials from clients, it's great content to post, right? It's great. And it's not just about bragging, because bragging also, it's supposed to be based on real fact, not just bragging, right? So you have the facts, so that would be absolutely great content to utilize, for sure. So, and we actually touched about it a little bit. You Todd started about utilizing testimonials, posting on social. So great value proposition. It could be repurposed and used for marketing channels, right? So any other ideas where it could be used, great value proposition as well as testimonials and clients, some blurbs from clients.
I think that once you know what your value proposition is, it should be everywhere. There shouldn't be anything on social. There shouldn't be a pitch, a cold call, a conversation where you don't talk about what makes you the best. It's like I'm part of an executive leadership group that I created, and one of the gentlemen, he'll laugh every time I say it. There isn't one time that he doesn't talk where he won't remind you that he is a professor and he teaches social marketing at a university in Toronto. So he'll always remind you of that. Why? Because that goes a long way. And yeah, I joke about it with him, but he makes a good point. This is what I do and this is what I've done. So you need to talk about it everywhere. It should be in your language. My poultry company that I had, we lived and breathed our vision, mission, and values, because you have to. If you're not talking about it all the time, you don't believe it, and you need to live by it. So if you agree on what you've created, take it and talk about it all the time. You just have to, everywhere.
Right. It's important to be consistent across all the channels. That's another point, right? So just consistency it builds trust, right?
Yep.
So yeah, absolutely. So if you look at success rates based again on your experience, businesses you worked with, how much lift you can expect if you speak before and after, before having proper, value proposition, positioning it correctly, to after. So if you compare those two, how much lift businesses could expect?
I know for sure the wealth management company I work with, he saw a lift of 33% in 6 months. And other clients, my company, I grew that I doubled it in 5 years. And that was by focusing on what we're talking about today. My other clients, I'd probably say on average, you're probably going to be between 20, 30% lift. And it's probably going to take, if you start and once you get your messaging and it's clear, you should start seeing results within, I'd say 1 to 2 months easily, because of your different messaging and just how you're making your company stand out.
Right. And so difference would be at how potential clients approaching you, how you look on different, online and offline channels, where you would see 1-2 months difference, which areas?
I would see it in overall sales. So when I talk about my wealth management client, he was humble, very good at what he does. And it was really clear to me, my first meeting, how he was different, but he didn't see it. And once I showed him what it was, he didn't want to talk about it. But then once I convinced him to talk about it, he took a different approach with his clients. He took a different approach with how he would speak to potential clients and how he would market his company. And within 6 months, he saw a 33% lift on revenue. So yeah,
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's great. So to wrap it up, I have last question for you here. What advice would you give to the businesses that looking to grow, right? So what would be your advice for those who are looking to grow?
Well, I want to say hire me, but as for advice,
you just say you need to brag, so say it.
No, I'd say hire me, but no. The first thing you need to do is you need to take a step back from your company and look at your company from an outside point of view, like I said earlier on, and really assess what's going on and look for growth opportunities. Try and find, I don't call it a challenge, I call it an opportunity. So don't look at them as problems, look at them as opportunities to grow. So step back and look at your business and go, okay, really take a close look at what it is and what's going on. Next step is determine where you want to go. What's your vision? Where do you see your company in 5 to 10 years? Have a clear idea of what that is. Then once you know where that is, you can identify where you are. And again, I said it, identify the gap. And then look at what you do or need to do on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis as an action to help you slowly get to that vision. But the first thing is step back and look at your company. And then also then do the competitive analysis to understand what everybody else is doing. And it's by taking the time to really look at your entire industry or what's going on in your market, that's when you're going to have things stand out. Things will pop out to say, oh, we don't do that. We do this. We do this. We should do that. We could do that. But it's just taking the time to do it. So I know a lot of business owners, they say, I don't have the time. I don't have the time. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have to do it. So yeah, you can hire somebody like me, but you don't have to start that way. Start by taking the time. Because if you're one of these businesses that will complain all the time about, I don't have the growth I want, I'm not getting the markets, the clients that I want, like nothing's working out like I want. I'm giving you some ideas on what you can do to change that, but it's up to you to say, okay, I need to take the time. Because if you don't look at changing your business, nothing's going to change. It's that Einstein theory. What is it that, if you're not going to, don't expect different results if you're not going to change something like that. But it's a lot of companies that just keep doing the same thing, but they keep expecting a different result. So you can't look at your business like that. If you're looking for a different result and you're not getting it, look inside, because there are opportunities you're going to have that are going to stand out to go, oh, that can help me.
Yeah, those great advices. If I may add one more, start now, right? Don't postpone it until Q3, Q4. Start now, today.
Start now. And a lot of people look at a strategic plan or vision or value proposition. They think about it that it's this big, difficult, onerous task, but it's not. It can be as simple or as complicated as you want. Like I've actually got a binder I'm going to take to my clients this afternoon. My strategic plan with my company was 2 inches thick, but we had a big company that was 180 people, multiple departments, that's fine. It had to be complicated or big, but it can be as simple as you want. And then start simple, and then over the years, it will develop and grow and expand to a point where you not think you're going to have, you're going to get to a point where you didn't think you could get to, but just start small. It's like when you look at a financial model, just start with something basic. And then as the months and years go on, you're going to add categories. You're going to look at different ways to analyze costs, and it'll just it'll just evolve. But think small and just let it grow.
Yeah, great advice. And I can add also that it's not supposed to be perfect when you just start.
No.
Exactly.
And a strategic plan it's a guideline, right? It's like a Google Maps. I'm here, I want to get to there. So if there's an accident part way, you're going to get detoured, but at least you're still going to end up at this destination. So you need to think about it that, like, it's a guideline. Like, none of this is set in stone. Value proposition, you'll figure out your value proposition or your unique value proposition today. In 6 months, it could change because you've done something different, and all of a sudden you've taken your business to that next level, and you go, okay, so now I'm here. Oh, no, okay, now to where I want to go. But it's always evolving, but in a positive way.
Right. Absolutely agree with you. Yeah, it's and just advice to businesses: start now, right? Don't wait.
Yeah, don't wait.
Don't waste the time. Yeah.
No.
Absolutely. Okay, so Todd, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate having you here. And for anyone who has a question for Todd, I'm sure he will be glad to respond to any questions. If anyone has questions for me, again, feel free to contact me as well. And thank you for joining us this afternoon. Hopefully you got some value and some starting points where you can start building your unique value proposition and optimize and improve your business growth. Thank you, Todd.
Tali, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed this, and yeah, appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Bye now.